got off on a side tangent on my previous recording, so I'm trying this again. Recently, I picked up this Dream Quest of Villet Bow by Keith Johnson. If I'm saying the name correctly, I may or may not be. I thought it looked interesting. It's sort of a different take on Lovecraft's Dream Quest of Unknown Kadath. And I did not realize at the time that this was part of a small series from Tor that are kind of modern looks at Lovecraftian ideas, I guess. That's my understanding, or sort of plays on classic Lovecraft stories. So, I haven't read this yet, but because of that, and then seeing a video from, I believe it was Quinn's Ideas, I think it was Quinn's Ideas that did a look at this book, The Ballad of Black Tom. This is a take on Lovecraft's story, The Horror at Red Hook, which is his sort of infamously, probably most blatantly racist short stories, racist and xenophobic short stories. I've actually never read Horror at Red Hook. I am aware of its general premise, but I've never read the story. It wasn't really anthologized as much, probably because it was so sort of blatantly racist, would be my guess. I'm not sure, but I don't think it appeared in a lot of the anthologies that I used to find Lovecraft stories in before being able to track down in more recent years full collections of Lovecraft's fiction, which used to be very, very difficult to come by. So I'm very curious to check this out. Quinn's Ideas made it sound really interesting, if I'm correct that was the channel that I saw the video on, which I believe it was. And I may have to go back and actually read Horror at Red Hook at some point. It's one that I've never particularly felt like pursuing on account of its sort of notoriety. I do think it's important to sort of interrogate Lovecraft and his work. I am always distrustful of the kind of knee-jerk statement that you tend to hear now parroted a lot. The whole Lovecraft was racist even for his time. I think it's important to remember how prevalent his ideas were at that time. And I think we're doing ourselves a disservice if we try to forget that those ideas were actually fairly mainstream for a, white New England man in the 1920s, and dismissing them by saying, oh, he was racist even for his time, I think is factually incorrect, but I also think is a sort of a dangerous way of trying to wash our hands of the ugliness of our past. And if today shows you anything, it's that trying to wash your hands of the ugliness of our past does not solve anything. So anyhow, that's all to say. This looks pretty interesting. I want to check this book out. It's short, like the Dream Quest of Villet Bow. It's more of a novella, I suppose. It is 149 pages. Dream Quest, I believe, was a similar length. 100... The actual story ends on 165. So these are both pretty interesting looking books. There is at least one more in this little series. I cannot remember the name of it. I do not own it, obviously. So I don't know if I'll get it or not. But I want to read these coming up. Have you read either of these? What contemporary Lovecraft take, pastiche, interrogation, etc. do you find particularly interesting? I, for example, have not read Lovecraft Country, I believe is what it was called, nor have I seen the HBO series based on it. Anyway, until next time, take care.